Hey Willow. Oh, and hey Nick. Just setting up, so I'll be with you in a sec. Nearly ready? Just be a couple of minutes. Hey Nullis, and you're quite welcome, Nick. Alrighty, that's everything sorted. Hey Summer. Nick, you've been unironically enjoying Death Stranding. Oh, nearly forgot to put the webcam on. Here. Very happy with how I did my body paint today. Wasn't sure about the stripe, but I kind of like the stripe. Nick, you've been unironically enjoying Death Stranding, even if the main way to regain stamina is drinking Monster Energy drinks. Yeah, I think in a way, Death Stranding is the purest form of, oh, thanks, Summer. Is the purest form of, you know, open world game, because you're literally just carrying stuff from A to B. Like, it's not making any sort of, contrivances. That's literally what you're here to do. And all the mechanics support it, you know. Notice you want Gatorade all of a sudden. You remember liking the taste. Yeah, I think I had some like blue Gatorade when I was a kid when I watched, I think it was the movie Evolution in cinema. And like, I enjoyed it that one time, but every other time I've tried it, I've not really liked it, so I don't know what's going on there. Nick, there's some contrivance. There's more nonsense Kojima lore in this thing than you've ever seen. Yeah. Within 30 minutes it's outdone Metal Gear Solid on weird. Yeah, it's one of those games I've seen sort of streamed a lot, but I haven't really got around to playing myself. I really should consider fixing that. Because at the end of the day, it does look quite a fun game. There we go. Anyway, my project for the last couple of weeks or so is has basically been sewing a jacket, and I can't really carry that over to the computer to show that off because it's all flat on my well, right now I'm basically sewing the front sort of front I can't remember what they're called, but like basically where the buttons are going to go. And I had to do those after spending like 30 minutes carefully doing them last night because I realised I'd cut the fabric out just slightly too small. Like, they're made up of 4 pieces, so I tried to be clever and cut out the second set of pieces with the first set of pieces as a guide. But it looks like for whatever reason that made them like just a few millimetres shorter either end, but that's just enough to be a problem. So yeah, had to cut the fabric out, had to cut the interfacing out, press them together again, and to be fair, I'm about where I was before, and the instructions are kind of weird, so, but luckily I did find a video that literally shows how to do it in 5 minutes, so hopefully, well, I can probably do it this evening after this stream, but I'm babbling a bit here. Let's get this game running. I said let's get this game running. There we go. You should all be seeing it by now. Hey Icky, how's it going? It's indeed Brie. And a purple teeth be she. Okay, let's get going then. So yeah, just as a quick recap, we're established in the main character's in the UK. He's officially a lawyer, and his first sort of defendant is basically another Japanese student who's been accused of stabbing a woman in the back. Said woman isn't dead, but she is in a coma. And the evidence is basically he's kind of shifty and foreign. It's pretty clear he's being done dirty. What have you been playing, Icky? Citypunk 2011 and Love Punch. I'm not familiar. Some sort of indie game? Or is it a classic one? Anyway, the jury's contentions. Because right now they're ready to just have him hung. For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he? He said that a woman in green collapsed before his eyes. Why, it can only have been the victim. The man wouldn't have gone around the house on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter. Icky also needs to decide what the heck he's playing tomorrow. Icky's words, speaking in the third person just to be clear. Summer, Icky's been playing Slay the Spire. You streamed S4U last night, it's a new indie game. Oh. Notice, marking me up a little, game audio is good. Well, the mark's as high as it's getting, so I'll just literally raise it up a bit so it's a bit closer to my mouth. There we go. Hopefully that's better. Nick's saying, Icky, you do Death Stranding having a weird ass time. I could do to see more of Death Stranding streams, you know. Right. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful.
I don't really care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be done. Your books here. Yes, nice job that, but Bourbon books? No, not worth a visit. With only minor exceptions, the reasons for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, only two people at the scene were... The only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitting to seeing the victim in her green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we've heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already.
Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now.
Why'd you have to run away like that? How are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see? This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense?
Mr. Nerohodo, this is no time for grumbling. If you want to force the trial to continue...
Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least.
Exactly. You do keep meaning to finish Death Stranding. That's fair enough. I need to start it. We have no choice but to forge forward.
You have the floor, Cancel. Begin your summation examination.
Yes, my lord.
I just need to keep this trial going somehow, whatever it takes. Come on, Rhinosuke. You can do it.
Do you love the Gothic text? Sorry, the Gothic fonts they're using in the titles here. Okay, so basically what we have to do here is just find 2 statements that contradict each other. Okay, let's press this one guard on this. But you can't deny that there are other routes Mr. Natsume could have taken back from your books. Oh yes, like you drew on the map, you mean? What was it? Calabash Road or something?
Precisely.
But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And at the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there?
Well, yeah, that's true as well.
And as I understand it, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he?
Well, yeah, that's annoyingly true.
Winter nights are dark and cold, so the way I see it, you'd want to get home as quickly as possible.
Well, yeah. Why is all this true?
So really, the only thing that makes sense is if he went home along Briar Road.
I'm supposed to be convincing you here.
I've given it a lot of thought, you know. I didn't just make up my mind on a whim that he did it. I mean, if there's some logical way he might have gone the Calabash Road way, it'd be different. I'd be happy to reconsider, my position on that case, honest dear word.
A reason why Soseki-san might have taken the longer way home.
Yeah, a good reason. I don't imagine you'd be able to sway this young man's opinion without one. No, Liz. Does Jeff Standing still have that random lore bit you heard about where the apocalypse happened because Ace people, or did they take it out? I believe they patched that out, to their credit. Willow, is this a juror or the prosecution? Yep, he's definitely the juror. You don't want to mess with the prosecution. Okay.
Hold it!
Whatever's the matter, young man?
You're the wife of Mr. Garadeb, aren't you? The landlord who rents Mr. Natsume his room.
Okay, someone's finally bringing that up. The master's wife? Where do you get your ideas, sir? I'm the maid. The maid, you understand.
She is keeping up that charade. This is going to be awkward. Why didn't you mention this yesterday? That you'd been selected for the jury in this trial, I mean.
Well, I was told not to mention it to anyone until the day of the trial, you see. It was in the letter I received. The instructions were very clear, so I'm afraid I had no choice.
I see. Anyway, Mr. Natsume, the defendant, takes lodging in your master's house, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. Although he's only been in a little over a week now.
And in that time, surely you must have taken stock of his character. Does Mr. Natsume look like the kind of man who would commit a crime such as this?
Oh my goodness me, yes, he's just the sort.
What?
No, Liz. Not body shame or nothing. Did this lady jiggle physics on both sides of her face? To be fair, if you, I think she might be sort of puffing her cheeks up slightly. And if you tap one side of your cheeks like that, then obviously the edge goes to the other side. It's like... Spending all his time in that dark, dingy room, sporting that unscrupulous moustache. The man never speaks, and don't get me started on those shifty eyes. All the neighbours are talking about him. I've heard them, you know. People think he must be building a bomb in there or something. Oh dear, poor Mr. Natsume. How could people say such things about him? He's just a harmless bookworm, nothing more.
Well, you just called him a worm, so... Anyway, I'd better be careful about inviting this maid to speak. She said enough damning things already. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be done.
Hold it!
A man's life is on the line here, sir. This will take as long as it takes. Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too, and so's my family's.
Huh?
The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a labourer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids.
Oh, I see. That must be very hard.
I go to the union every morning until I find what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taken, it's tough. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right and centre. They're after cheap labour to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slog from dawn till dusk it is.
So, you're out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you?
That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just around the corner from where it all happened, by the old bookshop it was.
What? Another coincidence?
That's right. Meerschaum Street it was.
Meerschaum Street? On the map, Mr. Naruto, there are only 3 named streets. Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please.
What's the point in that? Can't we just get this business over with now?
Please, sir, it's important.
Ugh. Fine. I'll do it then.
Notice? Naruto... Ooh, sorry. I'm so bad with names. Okay, so court record. Oh. So he couldn't have taken this way home because the street was being dug up.
Objection!
Those two statements are clearly at odds with one another.
Assholes counsel, explain yourself.
Please don't point. It wasn't me, I swear.
What? I just wanted to get this done and dusted.
Well, juror number 3. Oh, me, sir? What do you mean? Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's being said on the map, on our map of the local area. Okay, I absolutely love this pacing animation. If only because it was just literally what I used to do when I was 13. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of second-hand books. And on the same day, we now know that there were works being carried out on Meerschaum Street. Well, no, I didn't really grasp it. Below, you also used to pace your room with a sword. Obviously, I didn't have a sword, but I do pace what I'm thinking. We now know that there are works being carried out on Meerschaum Street, making it impassable, which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Meerschaum Street and down Briar Road. Icky invoking, quote, sword, giving us 874. He's resistant to sword. A rookie mistake. Not quite the one you're after, Icky. Quote number 892. Can't believe this kid's running with a sword. I mean, pertinent, but probably not the one you're after. Oh yeah, of course. What do you think, sir?
Well, yeah, you can't argue that really, can you? We must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way.
So the only conclusion is this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings. Yes, I suppose he must have.
Aye, I suppose that must be right, eh?
Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around to the houses on his way back from the bookshop. But we see now he had no choice. Yep. Notice you pace sometimes when the house is empty just because you don't get any exercise. Not generally to think though. Yeah. Well, thinking, daydreaming. Basically, if I'm lost in for whatever reason, it's my legs just sort of take over. My lord, Mr. Judge, sir, if I may.
Yes?
I don't think all in good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yep, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can get to the bottom of what really happened. They really just invented magic fire scales to make things extra dramatic. What about you, sir?
Who? Me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in. That's what I say.
Get it? Because he's a labourer. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhide. That was wonderful. Well, we've managed to change a couple of minds at least. It strengthened our position somewhat. Icky, absolutely nothing about jury trials is needlessly dramatic. Please ignore the wigs. Yeah. Ah, fun fact, which you probably all know by now. Traditionally, back when the death penalty was a thing in the UK, when a judge delivered the death penalty, they'd actually have basically an assistant drop a square of black cloth over their wig, literally called the black cap, just to be extra dramatic about it. And that actually, the Irish phrase kibosh, referring to that black cap, actually gives us the expression to put the kibosh on something. Yes, and it'll prompt up the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current leanings are really right or not. Now, if we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy, that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely. Yeah, that's exactly what we've got to do. Van Zieks is looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent, by whatever means we have at our disposal. Notice you remember looking up how to pronounce kibosh last stream, but not sure what that turned out to be. Yeah, he pronounces words these days.
Thank you, Counsel. On with the summation examination, please.
Yes, my lord. Okay.
Hold it!
Let's call this guy off. Oh, Nolis, apparently it's pronounced kibosh. Okay, my bad then.
Excuse me, but aren't you? Yes, that's right. I was in the witness stand myself just 2 days ago.
Yes, I had a feeling I knew your face. Or the side of it, anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you?
That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work. And it was all going swimmingly until you started frolicking around. Bruce Fairplay was a man of repute.
Sorry?
Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals.
Oh, well, you know, water under the bridge.
Now there's all sorts of rumours buzzing around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop.
If I could turn back the clock.
Well, anyway, I don't know about the hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. And free to make up my own mind on who's guilty and who isn't.
Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I might struggle to change this man's mind, given our awkward history. Oh dear, I wonder what's become of Mr. First now. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to contradict this guy. If he said that woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why, it could only have been the victim. Notice, if I could turn back time...
Hold it!
You're right, this at the time of the incident. The defendant admits to having seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quite, that's precisely my point. Clearly that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly that funny little Nepalese man with the disturbing moustache is the culprit. But let us not forget, madame, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Well, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. The man is obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly. Claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes. If that's the lies you're suggesting, do you not think he would have concocted something more credible? Oh, I really couldn't say. After all, you are foreign. Who's to say what goes through your funny little minds? I could tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you wouldn't like it. Perfect line. Icky, probably not referencing the song Notice was referencing, but Aqua's Turn Back Time was on the work canteen ready the other day, and you were very surprised. Yeah, exactly, Willow. British people just don't change. I do declare that man has already made the admission. He himself has stated that there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. No one else could possibly have committed this awful crime. If no one else could have done it, the accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple.
Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit.
Notice? You were actually thinking of Cher. You don't even really know Aqua. Aqua's best well-known song was Barbie Girl. And maybe Dr. Jones. Am I? You're too kind, my lord.
That went well. For her.
Hold it!
Notice the last time you heard it was when Sib and you randomly watched Don't Forget the Lyrics. Fair enough. Icky, Turn Back Time is just a good ass song though. Either one of them. This is true. And also, They Might Be Giants, Hand of Time. Screeching tires, never a collision.
Sorry, fold it you say? Fold what?
No, what I said was hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often?
I like the old books they have there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're talking about.
And at what time did you visit your books on the day in question?
Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're talking about.
Just before 5, you say? Exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time?
Oh yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry. Not after the dreadful time I had.
What do you mean?
Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on the ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling. That's when it's most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I really thought my number was up.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. This happened on Calabash Road?
That's right. I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books.
Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant. Oh yeah, someone else in a green coat fell over.
Sorry, extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now.
You've changed 2 of the jurors' minds, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, just 2 more to go. Deliver the finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here.
Wish I knew how to do a Sasato takedown.
I suppose words will have to suffice for now. I was thinking that, Nolis. How many of these jurors are actually witnesses? Okay. Take that. Those 2 statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning.
A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel?
Well, juror number 2, juror number 6. My, whatever do you mean, sir?
Ellipses nuts.
I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you. Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There is at least one fact of which we can be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates on the day of the attack he had been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot. But the man says he has no recollection of his return journey. That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes. Yes, we're well aware of this. The poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously.
Objection!
Can we really be sure of that, madame? My, whatever do you mean?
I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him on that day. That same afternoon, there was someone else apart from the victim. He was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over on the icy streets in the neighbourhood.
Oh my. My goodness. You mean?
That's right. I'm referring, of course, to hard of hearing juror number 6.
Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was the jolly old gentleman at the end of the bench here with me today?
That's entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim. Well, look at that.
Oh my goodness me.
Sorry, you need a pee? And crucially, we know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell.
On Calabash Road.
Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means that the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home.
Oh my.
You idiot, old man. If you hadn't been so daft has been roaming around there, would have boxed this off hours ago.
And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat?
What do you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the streets these days? Is it a crime to slip up over on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat? Is it?
Makes a good point. My lord, I hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but...
You'd like to change your leaning, I presume?
I do declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty.
Exactly, Willow. A succulent green overcoat. Thank you. And I would too. What? Is it a crime to change your mind? Is it? Well... Oh, you know your verbal judo well, don't you? Well, that examination is concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The A's 2, the nays 4. So the no's have it, the guilty they say, not guilty they say.
Icky, if changing your mind is a crime, I'm guilty. I probably shouldn't have said that in a courtroom.
Which means we no longer have consensus among the members of the jury. The trial will continue until morale improves.
Okay, what's the edgelord got to say?
Could it seem churlish of me to drink from my hallowed chalice moments after raising an objection, only to crush it in disgust? Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zeeks? You know, he must get through a lot of hallowed chalices. I wonder where he gets them from.
It seems I must retract my earlier remark.
What do you mean? Willow, must get them job lot. Yeah.
I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful. Yes, we have just witnessed them falling from a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer.
Whatever do you mean?
Objection!
Yep, call the jury stupid. That'll really help.
I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I said's the truth. Indeed. Stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the roads he claims. I believe you said it was a good 2 yards of the pavement which you had excavated, sir. That's right. It took me the whole day and they paid me a measly twopence for it. Now, my learned Nipponese friend, tell me, do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents?
No, there's a spirit Halloween around the corner. He alone keeps it in business. Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no. 2 yards is a little less than 2 meters. Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all.
In other words, a distance readily vaulted by any of a moderate vigour. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? Me? Well, I can't say you're wrong, no.
What?
Did you perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works? I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had a hope of passing anyway, and would just turn any gentlefolk back when they come. Kids just jump right over us all the time. The accused is no gentleman, as far as I can see. I have little doubts, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in his meanderings around town.
Eh? Is that true? Is it?
The uncontroversial truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Brow Road.
Crushed in a single sentence.
And, old man. Old man? You can talk? You say that around 5 o'clock on the day in question, you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there a suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time?
Oh, I can't say I remember. Presumably he was a bit busy falling over at the time. You don't remember?
How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man the accused saw, but I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it.
Order! Order! Lord Van Zees, explain yourself. No less 2 yards isn't unjumpable with a running start, you guess, but it's a lot of effort to bother with. Exactly. Like, a little under 2 meters is actually a fair distance to jump. Yeah, exactly. 6 feet. Like, if you're a D&D character, yep, fine, you can do that. Unless you've got a very low strength modifier. In the real world, however, it's something you have to actually sort of, push yourself to do.
My lord, if you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not prefer it during the summation examination? I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over.
What are you talking about?
My lord, the prosecution requests permission to call its next witnesses to the stand.
Even in D&D, it probably takes a running start, and that's a lot of bother, especially if you're carrying books. Yep, that's true. Otherwise, at half the distance you can jump.
Granted. Bailiff, bring in forth the witnesses.
It's next witnesses. Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there are eyewitnesses to the incident.
Yeah, I remember. One of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less.
I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness.
Alright, no matter who Van Zieks brings to the stand as his witnesses, and no matter what they say, I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent, and I'll keep believing till the very end, until this battle is over.
Who gave this child a police costume?
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Wait, this is an ancestor of Mike Meekins.
Constable Roller Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir.
And I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say this. I'm this young town hero's wife. Notice you're trying to work out that point that Van Zieks is doing, and your fingers hurt. And thank you for the quote, Nolis.
What's the story here?
Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. Is he chewing on his helmet strap? Sorry, by the way, my nose is getting really itchy.
No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired.
Notice, did that twink cat make that helmet? Willow, most intelligent cop.
Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honourable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world.
Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually.
Indeed. Apart from the rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles in a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs and collect taxes, survey the streets, check that meters are reading true, and they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our street lights.
There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all.
I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bobby is a man of honour.
Objection. Citation. The Met.
And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Brow Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat?
That's right, sir. Isn't it really? Hey, Max Sting.
Constable Rolly Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the streets, sir. What great witness he's going to be.
How's it going?
Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please.
Nolis, this cop legitimately looks 5 years old, and his wife looks barely older than that. Yeah, I was thinking that.
You tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident.
Max Sting, Nautilus, Aki, and a few other dwarves. Sorry to hear it. You think your art of science infection never really went away? That sucks. Hope it clears up.
Yes, sir.
What the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, 2 silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. Max Sting, child labour, child marriage. Sounds like the metal, right? All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man on the dock. Ronnie and I both saw him as clear as day.
Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say.
Oh dear. This policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed. Yeah, I was wondering that, Nihilus. Why are their eyes glowing?
It's a death knell, in fact. Because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate bechancing! And on your wedding anniversary too!
Oh, I know. I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Nihilus, are they rogue spy kids? The robots, not the main characters. Good question. Android 17 and 18 AU. Wait, no, scratch that. They're siblings. Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed.
Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes.
Wait, no. Android 17. Wait, Android 18 and Krillin. It was right there.
This cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon.
What do you mean by that?
My learned friend, the witness saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without doubt the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less, so you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure.
Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all the talking.
Enough preamble, counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please.
When the GM gets fed up and tells everyone to stop RPing. Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Miss Bede? Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children and the elderly can't even apply. Well, I think you can probably see why the children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Mooney looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down to the ground, doesn't it, darling? What? Oh, I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Oh no, really. I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognise you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy.
Kindly adhere to the point. You're going for a meal after you've finished your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir. Yes, although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. But pleasing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. No less, kindly adhere to the point. Every healer in Overwatch. It has the noble founding principles of the Force written on it, as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. Again, citing the Met. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all London needs to hear to feel safe and secure. This is how you know it's a fantasy setting. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. Fun fact, at one point the London thief-taker general was also the leader of one of the most notorious gangs. And he basically would have people robbed, then charge them to get their stuff back, and then have members of rival gangs arrested for it. Notice, your Ziegler health insurance doesn't cover house calls. Please see our facilities on the point. I haven't played Overwatch in years. Is that an actual quote you can get? Because that would be amazing. But sir, just on that particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Miss Bede puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I want to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, really? Oh, what a charming couple. Yet their young love is such joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps. Max Sting, LA infamously had that situation once. Granted, it was less arrest and a lot more murder.
And then, kindly describe what happened next.
Hold it! Two silhouettes. That's right, they were coming towards us, walking up Brow Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure, followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim is pictured on this print, and like Mr. Natsume.
Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at the time, there was nobody else nearby?
Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there were streetlights on Brow Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling?
Huh? What? Oh, yeah, that's right. Of course, there was a light fog on the ground, but Brow Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street lighting as well. Didn't see any other pedestrian. Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer please, Mr. Bede. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day every day keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true.
No less, but it's something you mentioned to someone once. Some tank you kept running off and getting killed and spamming. Need healing. Tss. It's always the tanks.
Yeah, they're still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened.
It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run.
Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just for the instant now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed?
Hold it!
Scattered something? What do you mean by that?
Oh wow, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But when we got closer, we realised where it was. Didn't we, darling?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was some old books. I see, old books. Yes, sir. The culprit dropped a number of them all around when the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print.
That Russian Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
No, listen. New theory, he's a puppet and that scarf is a pull string.
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him. He was the man in the dock without question, sir. The moustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the short mouth, the snub nose. Everything. Any more insults you want to throw in?
That's right, he looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes, and then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here.
Notice, there's a snake in my boot. Max Sting, you actually thought the same thing, but words escape you, so yeah, it does give that vibe. Exactly, Max Sting. Rhinosuke should know better, their corpse.
May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue.
Yes, sir. Notice, if the scarf wasn't so loose, you'd worry she's choking him. Okay. Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I'm the proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling?
Oh, yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. B to go. I was off duty by that point. But Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene. Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
Max Sting, you think that's the outermost end of the scarf? Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. Then again, I suppose the other end's clearly underneath the rest of the scarf, so it must be.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? Depends on the crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat, so I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under, so she could go and report it.
I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There's nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know.
And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens.
Oh please, you're making us blush, isn't he, darling?
Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir.
Let's move on, shall we? It was definitely that Japanese man in the dog. Really and I both saw him as clear as day.
Hold it!
But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you? We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I have you know. Right. The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he?
Yes, and what of the fog? We're famous for it across the globe, I believe, which is an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm. Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about? The constant fog makes her eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling?
What? Oh, yeah, it was the accused, no mistake.
Yeah, probably the coal dust too, Max Sting.
The moustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Unmistakable, sir.
As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Suzeki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it.
That's their entire testimony.
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they saw. Mr. Natsumi running away from the scene on Briar Road that day.
Yeah, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us?
The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony.
Oh no, then what do we do?
If Casimir were here,
What are you trying to say?
I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean, somewhere else?
Their statements about seeing Mr. Natsumi as unequivocal, calling that into question won't help. If you could identify some other part of the testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them, to make the jury's doubt of the pair's memory of the day is accurate.
Oh, right.
Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in those statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavourable conclusion. Nolis. Well, he ain't here for the weather, that's damn sure. Crypto from Destroy All Humans 2. Yeah, Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 were fun, but they didn't really age that well. I think they changed a few things for the HD re-releases, but still. Kinda leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Why do I always seem to be so up against it?
Okay, I guess we need to find a contradiction. Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something?
Oh, yeah, of course, what is it?
Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it, well, out with it.
What? No, it's really not that at all.
My husband's a police, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like... Okay, there's a lot of people who like to shadow box in their animations in this game. Just saying. Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I could tell their names, every single one I could. Every single one. Any dare to question how reliable my testimony is?
That will do, Miss Beat.
No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, didn't for a minute think that really well. No, let's use your karate chop action. Willow, punching Judy but loving. And that's how you know it's fictional. Koto, really looks like the hypoxia is set in. Exactly. Also, hey, Koto, how's it going?
I really didn't mean to cause offence. Please put your husband's fists down. But perhaps you'd like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Miss Beat. Might that appease you?
Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling? Okay, tell us.
Yes, we know that there were books dropped at the scene of the crime, as you say. Those purchased by the accused in the nearby second-hand bookshop on the day in question.
After I'd been to the police box for help, I decided to have a good look over the area for good measure. I'm a proud policeman's wife, after all. I did it for Roly.
And what was your husband doing at the time?
Oh, he was lying face down in the snow, getting some well-deserved rest. He works ever so hard, you know. Ever so hard. Don't you, my darling?
Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime. Well, Mrs. Beat says you've regaled the court for your tales of your powers of recollection. Would you be so kind as to recount the titles of the books you observed at the scene?
I'd be happy to. Now, are you all listening? Okay, we're just going to double check the court record. A picture of Monsieur Lecoq, a meal for Gabar Gaborio, and Canterbury Yearnings. Okay, you only had 3 books. There was a picture of Monsieur somebody or other, and What's It Yearnings. Then there was a meal for someone, and the last was definitely Finger Me Something. You see? Max Stink, he passed out and couldn't preserve the scene. Yeah, I see there are 1 or 2 holes in your memory. Oh well, they're all along those lines, I'm quite sure. There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it. Well, why'd I tell you? So I think it's very mean the way you've been implying my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree, darling? Bleh. Yeah, okay, there we go. Definitely a cop. Yeah, those aren't the right titles, Max Sting, but they're close enough. But the thing is, she thinks there's 4 books when there's 3. Koto, God, this is like when you need to hand over at work, you don't have your jobs list on hand. Right, anyone who upsets my Patricia will have to answer to. The bad kind of wife guy.
Terrifying.
Yeah, she really is. Okay, we're just gonna skip through this because... Okay. Yep, there were 3 books he was carrying, so that must be it. I mean, there's 3 books he bought. No less, Van Zieg's unperturbed is expected of someone immune to mortal weaponry.
Objection!
So, you're saying that there were 4 books? That's right, I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and the Finger Me Something. I'm sorry, Miss Beat. But there's a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no, what flaw? Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there are only 3 books, not 4. What? This is the receipt from the bookshop where the defendant bought his books. Yuri books? Yeah, and it details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. Only 3? But no, that can't be. I remember seeing them. There are 4 books, I tell you. 4 dirty old books. Oh, really? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see from this evidence as well, there are only 3 books. Typical cop. There are 4 books. But I just don't believe it. I saw them there, I swear it. I saw them. Exactly, Nihilus. To scare Vandy, you'd have to start breaking furniture. Exactly, Max Sting. No, madame. I'm afraid your powers of observation cannot be relied on. So it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken. Oh no, oh no, no.
Objection!
It is plainly evident. It is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied on. my learned Nipponese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that these two witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well. A fact you know very well. You have no hope of disproving. So you're striving to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? He seems right through me. But your plan is somewhat recorded against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife, and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect. You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print. That print? You mean to say? That's right. I had the print record amended this morning. Below, swirling his cranberry juice menacingly. His exploding cranberry juice. Allow me to present another, one that shows the victim's hand. I don't believe it. It's the 4th book. Max Ding, that's inappropriate in the courtroom. Wait, what is? As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No. Oh, throwing glasses around like that. Yeah, it's hazardous. Icky. Courtrooms are meant to keep explosions to an absolute minimum. Yeah, don't tell the rogue who had the smoke grenade launcher earlier. Willow, all part of the performance. It's true, you notice he tossed a bottle into the stands last case. Max Ding, you sure have missed the jokes where we all said, "What is a man?" A miserable pile of objections. Not as much as I thought, actually. Order! Order! There, you see? Look at that, look. Yeah. There's enough talk. How about you? It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Max Ding, you need to replay that game. Yep. I really need to stream Symphony of the Night sometime. Because obviously it was a scene from the end of Rondo of Blood, but I don't think it was voiced in the original, but it was voiced in Symphony of the Night. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please. Oh yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other? The picture of Monsieur Lecoq. What's it, Yearnings? Canterbury Yearnings. A meal for somebody. A meal for Gaborio, in fact. Yeah, it's a pretty good scene. Like, people joke about the wording, but it is literally a reference to a classic piece of literature, so, you know. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. B's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Did you hear that, really? The gentleman paid me a compliment. Willow, swear the man's got narcolepsy. It's possibly he really is just that tired. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Miss Beat mentioned 4. There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly the fourth book is that which is shown in this photographic print.
Wait, the Lion's Pride? That was, the landlord's favourite.
I'm sorry, Cancel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the fourth book be omitted from the receipt? It is not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim.
The victim was holding her own book? I wonder, what became of that fourth book?
Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, Cancel. My pleasure, my lord. The second crime scene photo has been entered into the court record.
No less, and it's got burn marks. Burn marks, you say? The fourth book has been entered into the court record. A book entitled The Lion's Pride, discovered in the victim's hand at the scene. Icky, to shreds, you say?
Maxting, and as an example of how shitty our court system is, these omissions on your part will not be held against you at all, and are all very normal. The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add.
What?
You seem surprised, my learned friend, but your resistance up until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious, longer route to the accused lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempt at discrediting the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination.
Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I? Well, the prosecution is an EP guy, he needs his drinky. Summer, discrediting. No less. To cinders even. The landlord's room even had a fire. You see, everything we said is true. Isn't that right, my darling?
Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. So perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions. Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard all the witnesses and seen all the evidence. This trial has run its course.
Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position.
I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse.
Maxting, this is a required loss in the plots reads. I mean, they usually save those for the very last case. Okay, if we don't object. Wait, let's have a look at the new evidence first. Let me see. It's a book entitled The Lion's Pride. I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all, so it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride? That's strange. I think I have heard of that book by that name, before, and very recently too. It's a title I recognise too, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, it was definitely what... Oh. Yep, you're right, Nellis. Burns. Now I'm trying to figure out if... Wait, why was I reading it in that voice? Nellis, I'm trying to figure out if Van Zieks is putting some wrist into that point, but it's hard to tell at that angle. Yeah, because the landlord mentioned it was his favourite book, and also it was damaged by fire. Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burnt. You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages. What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edge of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
A book recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me?
Okay, updated. Can we open it? Guess not. Oh yeah, you can see the entire corner's burnt there. Yeah, let's raise this.
Objection!
Max, Nolus, you'd guess maybe from Dracula? I think it was some philosopher or other, but don't quote me on that. Max Sting, you would know. Admittedly, you only got halfway through Dracula before dropping it because you hated it. I think Dracula became super popular recently because someone was doing like a sort of email sort of ARG version where the emails were slowly being sent out like a newsletter. Willow, an Andre Malraux book. Max Sting, you haven't read any Malraux. To be fair, neither have I. I think the only French philosopher I know is Albert Camus. Sorry, Camus, not Camus. Notice you never heard of them. Albert Camus was a existential philosopher who wrote. He was the one who said, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Max Sting, Sartre is less readable than Camus, but you think his philosophy is better. Yeah, I mean, I kind of prefer absurdism, but that's fair enough. I mean, Camus' specific type of absurdism. But yeah, we're not here to discuss literature, are we? Willow, it was actually a self-reference from an even earlier book of his. Well then.
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There is no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... I can't think of what to say.
If I may, Lord Van Ziegs, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. Yes, Sartre, sorry.
Your insignificant little eastern isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this.
Oh.
I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you'll have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable.
Mr. Naruhodo?
One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance. So, the court will hear you, madam.
On what fucking planet? Now, at least you don't remember what Sartre is known for. Max Sting. Only the man who can stop the rowing has time to rock the boat. I've heard it before, but I didn't know it was a Sartre. Go ahead, Mrs. Asso, please. To be fair, philosophy's not really my sort of thing. I just kind of like Albert Camus.
Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us?
Max Sting, man is condemned to be free, condemned because he did not create himself, in other respects is free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. Okay.
What have we overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further?
Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished.
I see. And you believe this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
He also said that the dead become the prey of the living. Willow, you created yourself with estrogen and sheer spite. Word. Nolis, you neither. It makes up 40% of your degree, but pretty much by coincidence. Most of it was logic classes. Max Sting, Simone de Beauvoir. One is not born but becomes a woman. Okay, now that one I know.
And you believe this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. I just need to read more in general. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible.
Yeah, I understand. And thank you, Miss Susato. This is it. Susato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has hitherto been overlooked.
Yeah, it's got to be the book. Max Sting, Simone Well sounds interesting, and Rosa Luxemburg is into philosophy, but she was kind of great to read too. Yeah, this is all going over my head. Present.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the new... Wait, no, that's not the button I pressed.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book, found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
Nolis, this is not my beautiful dialogue branch. Nolis, 100% of the books you have lined up to read are fantasy and you're content with that. Max Sting, you think you hadn't read much at your age. Wait, my age or Nolis's. A lot of the stuff you read was when your child was an infant, and due to unpleasant circumstances you had a lot of time to read. Max Sting, objection. Water flowing under. Willow. Van Zieks.
No, stop talking about the book that will disprove my case. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know.
Max Sting, so you just read a lot really fast, and mostly stuff you could find free. That's fair enough. When I dropped out of university, I basically learnt Latin because the first thing I could find to actually read and distract myself was a Latin textbook. Not that I remember any of it now.
Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, Counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear?
Oh, yeah, my lord. It's, Mr. Nerihode. I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence, which means you may very well be on the right track. Yeah, casually teaching yourself Latin is a lot less impressive than it sounds. It's not like there's anyone alive to correct my pronunciation. Max Sting, you bet I could pick it up a whole lot faster now that I've learnt it once. Fair point, actually. I mean, I'm going to be playing a D&D character who's a lawyer soon. Maybe I should pick it up quickly. Well, not a D&D character, it's going to be a 13th age game. It's going to be a sequel to the Guild of Icons campaign I was in. Max Sting, pronouncing Latin isn't as important as its value in passing written text and records. True. Yes, I think you might be right.
So, Counsel? Precisely where is the vital clue to this case which this fourth book conceals?
The fact it's burnt. Oh, cycle through this. Yep, and obviously all the baldy graffiti from Pompeii.
Got it!
I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What you... Oh, good gracious. It's been burnt to a crisp.
So we have to ask ourselves, was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing. Willow, BRB, gonna make some eggs? Hope they're good eggs. Max Sting looks like something else I've missed. It does kinda.
Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nepalese friend?
Oh?
Were I to concede the point, it bears no relation to the case. There is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray, to enlighten us all, what truth does this child book hide?
Child book. There is just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory.
Don't keep us waiting any longer then, Counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage this, tome has suffered?
Its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth about the book's owner.
I beg your pardon?
But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor after all. It's obviously hers. The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers.
Good gracious, how can you possibly...
Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may very well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Nayless, goodness gracious, great books of fire. Max Sting, you bake my books, and you rattle on my brains. I'm not actually familiar with that song, but I do love her parody song lyrics.
Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book?
John Garadeb.
Take that!
Or possibly Gordon Freeman.
The answer is that book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. The landlords. Curses. But one truly untrustworthy member of society. And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but Max Sting as an email from Mr. Garadeb? Wait, no. Of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garadeb herself. Oh my goodness, me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garadeb's wife. I'm his maid. Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garadeb's house? I would never presume to know all the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behaviour. This woman is the accused landlady, you say. You implicate this hard-working member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. You accuse her of being a landlord. Yeah, he's pretty terrible, Max Sting. Your actions are unforgivable. Oh yeah. Notice, I think he's trying to do sort of like a, Actually, I think it's kind of like Sailor Moon. He's just sort of not making a full fist, he's just sort of doing it halfway. Very sort of conductor looking.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. The defence happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house. Good lord, what sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. Whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is I lost my favourite book, called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride. Notice? Garadeb is from a Sherlock Holmes story, apparently. Max Day, you can definitely see the Sailor Moon. He should cosplay. Yeah. Can you imagine him cosplaying as Sailor Moon? Oh yeah, reminder. On this channel I'll soon be doing a Girl by Moonlight Let's Play. By Jove, that's the same title as the subject of his very debate. Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without getting into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadeb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadeb, even amid the flames. Oh, how awful. I can't imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you really? Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir. Citation needed. Maxting. Marital discord sound like the very, very worst or the very best kind of server. You never actually got around to reading The Hound of the Basketballs. Yeah, I've seen, like,
5 different adaptations of it, but I've never actually read the original book. Maybe I should. Had all my favourite novels in that case, but as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. Then the wife started hurling things at me. There was I, backed up against the window, under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Max Sting, you should give it a shot, but there's a lot on your plate. I don't know, maybe I should do like a read-along stream. Don't know how well that'll go, but I mean, games like this are basically a lot of reading, aren't they? The man had his back up against the window and he had burning books thrown at him. Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
No, a thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted at the very evening of the incident, and there is no report of the Garadeb's window pane being broken.
That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garadeb household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and...
Not even remotely. Let's not forget the season, and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter.
Does the defense postulate that this scenario in all seriousness, Counsel? Do you honestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Garadeb's wife? Max Sting, unless that's what the fight was about. How dare you open the window at this time of night in this season? Oh, it was established what the fight was about. Basically, his wife found a note in a second-hand bookie box and thought he was having an affair. I believe it's a possibility, my lord. It's quite enough. Well, I hope that everyone can see what you are now. You little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward. Really? Claim that little tiff set the whole neighbourhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it. All you've done is sully your family's name. Your family, you say? Max Sting, you did actually listen to an audiobook of Crime and Punishment recently. There was this song by the Mountain Goats that referenced it, and it was far around your arse to finally read it. Okay, that's cool. I mostly know the Mountain Goats from the one song of theirs that's in Life is Strange. Really should listen to more of them. No, I assure you that was never my intention. Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defence. Max Sting, yeah, it's in the 4th episode of the first game, I want to say. It's from the very spoilery scene where... It's actually possible I was thinking of a different band with Mountain in their name, actually. Max Sting, you could exhaust yourself recommending Mountain Goat songs. Fair enough then. I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. Too right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese sprouting out his fancy foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could have possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the moustache, and he ran away from the scene too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes, what did I tell you?
Makes sense to me. Sorry? What's that? Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zeeks? In truth, my lord, I feel that these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then, one must always exercise patience in order to save the best vintage.
Max Ding, how many of those glasses does he keep around? That is a very good question. And also, why didn't the metal part of them tear up his hand? Seriously. No, wait. The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been...
If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time.
What? No, forgive the discourtesy this time.
Well, in that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court here.
No less because glass shards count as mortal weaponry.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Flapjacks.
Thank you for that ambiguous response.
That's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up.
Mrs. Zato,
Had you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet.
you're not suggesting...
Of course. The defense has a right to another summation examination at this point. Senior bit, no less. You could still convince the jury to change their mind. You have one more chance.
My lord,
The defense has to exercise its right to a summation examination.
you believe you still have tricks up your sleeve.
I don't intend to trick anyone. I intend to uncover the truth. Max Ding, yeah, this is more of a mechanical thing, really. You just basically have to find two jurors' statements that contradict each other. So I think it's inevitable. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined.
To be continued.
What are we up to? 2 hours? Okay, we can keep going. I didn't have work first thing in the morning or anything, so... You can sort of see, compared to the original Ace Attorney, this is definitely not as intended to be a portable game. Probably because the HD version came out.
I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you'll now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman?
We are, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime.
Okay, just gonna have a bit of a stretch. Because I'm seizing up a bit. I just realised I've been sat still for like 2 hours. Okay, the juror's contentions.
The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his.
If there was some novel or alternative explanation of how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Even if the one was Fremberg's, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. Gave me the sneezes.
Right.
Oh yes, considerably more tangible arguments for all members of the jury this time round, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. My London student friend wasn't able to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means, I'm afraid, that during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What do you consider constitute a tangible explanation here?
Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman, and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted.
Kote, how much bloody money does Vantique's budget for wine and glassware? Maybe it's tax deductible. And now I was thinking it might be hard. Max Dink must be as wealthy as Croesus. But Mr. Naruto, you have to... Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure then. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you're prepared, counsel?
Oh, yes, my lord. Alright, Ranosuke, focus your mind now. Max Dane confession. You're familiar with the term and vaguely aware of Croesus, but you've read F all about that figure. I'll be honest, I don't recognise the name.
It's going to be juror number 4.
It is going to be juror. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say, Mrs. Garadeb. We have a book that disappeared from the Garadeb's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learnt in my short career so far, whatever it takes. Okay, infamously wealthy mythological figure. Fair enough then. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garadeb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. Okay, here we go. Here we go, buddy, here we go.
Hold it!
But as we know, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make?
There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord.
Yes, that's the part I have a problem with.
Sorry?
Well, at the point where the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he?
Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. That's not exactly how I put it, no.
Well, anyway, the point is that the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened.
I think that's what you call a strong alibi.
So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it?
Kote is in that lyric in Les Mis. We know where the wind is blowing, money is the stuff we smell, and when we're as rich as Croesus, Jesus, won't we see you all in hell? Oh yeah, from Master of the House, I think. Because of course it's not a proper musical if the villains don't get the best song. Honestly, I can't see what this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I have nothing witty left to say.
Hold it!
Kato, annoyingly, creosote has nothing to do with creosote, despite what your brain always tries to tell you. I mean, the name and the word creosote might share some sort of roots. So you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, such a delight on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan and rational woman. That's great. I have these sunglasses that look different on either half. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? Notice your Wi-Fi's having a time. F. Maxting, and Mrs. Garradeb's wifey was having a time too. It's true. You see, modern metropolitan and rational thinking, wouldn't you say? And not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So, but despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern metropolitan and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. But as modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be the only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one. I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern metropolitan young lady. Right. I'm glad you omitted rational there. Okay. Even if the wind was throwing bugs, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it?
Hold it!
Ow. No, there's no loading circle even. The stream's just frozen. Well, it's saying it's all working on my end. No drop frames or anything. To be fair, it could be just that Twitch is having a time. But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be sure? The prosecutor fell over there so earlier, didn't he? Winter and London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, you see. Willow, poor Nolis is in purgatory. Oof. But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Then what's the point of even having windows, huh? Counsel, you'll kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show that there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. No less you'd forgotten they were making a Minecraft movie. Your internet and computer are both garbage. Yeah. My computer's not running at its best anymore.
Hold it!
But the little bug was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know.
There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb.
Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree?
Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garradeb.
Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute. Nothing more. Max Sting, you've seen some clips and images from that movie, and it does not fill you with anything but dread. And I won't have any more of these suggestions, as it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime.
Right, well, we'll see about that. What about your number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Garradeb's relentless onslaughts.
It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before.
What?
I told you already, I'm a day labourer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning.
What?
You heard me. My missus doesn't want to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me.
Another shining example of marital bliss then.
Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was well, you know, it's funny, I can't quite remember.
Sorry?
I was too frightened, that's the thing. I must have blocked it out.
Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Beast will ever be dragged into the Thames by a scarf.
Don't even go there, Miss Susato.
There must be some way to jog his memory about this.
Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. Gave me the sneezes.
Okay, an alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. Like, my guess is that it was a knife she was carrying. Max Sting, when you opened the window if the room was filling with smoke? You're right.
Hold it!
Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
Could you tell us more about that fire?
It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? I mean, you could, if people want to worship me by giving me cake, just saying.
Of course not. It was an angel cake, to celebrate my birthday, obviously.
It seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. Max Sting, as Murphy said in the Murphy's Romance, just set the damn thing on fire.
Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but the candles went flying all over the room. The furniture was caught and everything went up, the whole place filled with smoke.
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. Why would a Japanese man be talking about devil worship? And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. How do you catch a cold from the fire?
What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
There we go.
The windows. The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. But something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason.
We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsumi, could have attacked the young one on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it.
Yeah, but once again, the jury's statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes. I don't necessarily need to find the contradictions between their assertions. Just a connection might do the trick. Right, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike.
Max Ding, Japan was certainly dealing with the church's bullshit at the time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Part of the reason it became isolated was because they got fed up with Christian missionaries. Okay, so... window. Window.
Objection!
Those two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel?
Don't point at me again, I told you it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up.
Juror number 3, do you see?
Oh, me? See what, sir?
Do you hear from juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter.
Oh yes, of course, because there was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open that.
Oh. Max Ding, so that little cheering posture there would have definitely filled you up with confidence to make you go home. Despite being in London, he was not comfortable sitting next to that fire.
Exactly. On the den question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household, and Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled up with smoke.
Oh my! Excuse me!
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garadeb.
Oh dearie me. What's the meaning of this? How dare you imply I'm hiding who I really am? Notice this pacing bit there is such a cool angle. I agree. It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense for now.
What is it?
When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
What? I beg your pardon?
What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's conceivable you wouldn't have opened the window. And what we did? Oh, right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering, even though your house was on fire. Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It'll be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. Willow, you feel like they were flexing with the pacing animation? Absolutely. Max Ding is making really good use of the 3D, and you mean that? There's some scenes in Xenogears that make use of the scenery that way.
Of course, I should have realised.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have added to Mrs. Garadeb's formal statement. Maxting, a novel explanation. Wait, maybe that is a clue. Did she also throw kitchenware? I'm wondering that.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict. Okay, that wasn't it. Oh, the judge hates whimsy. So did she also throw kitchenware? Let's find out. The Ford book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garrideb told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw that at your husband? The copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading. I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I held it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you innocent little man, I didn't remember. At times like that, you become afraid whatever you could lay your hands on, as well you know. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
Excuse me.
What is it, juror number 5? No less me when trying to get through a gumshoe heavy bit. The tea-chugging animation. The gumshoe voice is murder on my throat. Speaking of, you know something?
I remember what it was. That memory I blocked out. It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought all flown back.
Koto, you wish gumshoe would be harsh on your throat. Koto. Who are you calling Granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Miss Garrideb, the maid, I'll have you know. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being his all the time.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and he died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out.
Oh dear, what a disaster.
You haven't heard the half of it, boy. The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I know, the blade was whistling past my ear, stuck in the wall next to me it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror. Are the streets okay? I could smell it then, you know, that god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now that's a real disaster, isn't it?
Koto, why are the working class women of London so violent? Wouldn't you be if you had to deal with the working class men of London? Or, you know, the upper class men of London.
Yeah, that's a real disaster, isn't it?
I'll never use the word lightly again.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
No, I wasn't thinking that.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor. Use a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare.
Yeah. So that is my kind of girl. As in she'll kill a man.
Oh, okay.
Willow, Suzato are about to break out the katana. Well, strictly speaking, the katana was a backup weapon if you had a bow.
Objection!
Okay, let's try that.
Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, cancel, at once.
Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could have been one such novel alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about?
We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garadeb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garadeb household to the street below.
What's that now?
After all, Mrs. Garadeb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? Max saying if she's a strict traditionalist, she might use a Nagata. Nagata? That's true. Yeah, I agree, Willow. The pacing is such a good animation. I'm beginning to think that ever since the true original of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened.
Now you listen here, you little Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer.
Tough, you're gonna get a gay one.
You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The object that found its way from the Garadeb household to the scene of the crime was the knife.
Take that!
Exactly, Willow. Want a straight answer? Ask a straight lady. Juror number 4, Mrs. Garadeb. What? What now? I must apologise in advance for this. Max Sting, regarding the violence of English women in this Japanese game, you're reminded of that scene in Gravitation where Yuki lands in New York City and witnesses a mugging gone awry within seemingly minutes and is immediately armed with a discarded pistol from the scene. While generally speaking you're against such portrayals of foreign countries, as an American you nevertheless was amused. Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, there's an anime called Yakuke Japan, I think. That's basically about the protagonist trying to make the very best loaf of bread possible. And there's this entire scene where a team of British bakers are going on about English cooking, and it's just like, yeah, that's fair. I must apologise in advance for this.
but I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Okay, let's take a closer look at the knife, actually. Yeah, there's nothing here. Very fun to keep opening and closing, though. Yeah, it looks like the tip of the blade's been broken off. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. You're right. Well spotted, Mr. Zasso. I wonder what could have happened to it. Yeah, you don't think it could have still be lodged in the victim, do you? Oh dear, I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful. This knife, have you ever seen this knife before? Good Lord, Cancel. What on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged in the victim's back, man. My lord, remember when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garadeb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. Max Dane Gravitation also had their American band manager Kay Winchester. Yep. Holding them at gunpoint several times, including with an M16. And also at the very end, he calls in a favour and has Shuichi airdropped by an SR-71 to the station in Tokyo. It's very silly and leads hard into outlandish portrayals of Americans, which you find mostly hilarious. You think you can accept a little ribbing. Yeah, I think if anyone wanted to really make fun of Americans, firearms is usually the way we go. A window that's been opened to clear the smoke and through which a book sailed to land at a crime scene. We can't seriously believe that the book was found in the victim's grasp. You said it flew neatly out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Even my missus hasn't got aim like that. Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not now. Am I? Ugh. Mrs. Garadeb, your answer, please. Max Sting almost as good as the moment in Gunsmith Cats, where Riley opens the fridge and all she finds is a block of C4 and a pistol. To be fair, that could be more about Riley herself than Chicago, but have you seen this knife before or not? Oh, KO. Flawless. My lord, I wish to change my decision. I'm one with my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end right now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman? I have to agree. Not that I think the granny didn't mind. Yep, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. Max Sting, you actually like that woman, however ridiculous she is. Yeah, that's fair. We did it.
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo.
So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty, against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue.
Max Sting. Jesus, Susato's animation is Lakers target to hit the heart, isn't it? Yeah, she's really cute.
Now then, Lord Van Ziegs, how does the prosecution wish to proceed?
He's just going to clarify. Anyway, before we continue, okay, today's second tea is apple and cinnamon. Yeah, first tea or berry if you're wondering. Anyway,
This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter.
Max Sting, you should go make some tea. Just cheap black bread blend and perhaps a cup of cheap Earl Grey. Yep, that's the third glass. Yeah, I've been sort of mostly drinking herbal teas in the evening just because I've been trying to avoid caffeine. Koto, this prosecutor is getting through more wine than a real Sussex mother.
If I may, Lord Van Ziegs. The defence has just put forward a credible alternative explanation of whatever happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defence's argument is a joke, to which I barely know how to respond. But let me start by insisting that you must all familiarise yourself with the relative positions of those places being discussed.
What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Trajectory, I guess.
It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Gerardep household runs a rather wide street, the Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Gerardep's house to the scene is some, 15 yards.
Let me see. 15 yards. That's around 14 meters.
14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted, as having portentous significance, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smouldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, travelled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Max Sting. The victim must have picked up the book.
And did the jackknife follow a nearly identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic serialized detective novels have more believable plots.
Yeah. Like, was the meter even around at the time? Yeah, I agree, Max Sting. It's quite a compelling argument on his part. So I'm wondering if the truth is something a bit less complicated. Although on the other hand, the wife did sort of react to seeing the knife, so it must be familiar somehow. Exactly, Max Sting. The truth's probably going to be more complicated, but less outlandish. There's nothing I can say to that. That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Mrs. Atto. Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? He has angered the fanfic writers. Maybe let's pick our battles here. My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead.
Max Sting, maybe she knows the conversion by heart, but is trying to hide her brilliance a little by pretending to look it up. Notice, it's only compelling because in this era, the case of the bust and the acrobat hadn't happened yet. Max Sting, if she told you to do your homework, you would do your homework. The prosecution may consider the idea of fantasy, but what the defence has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning, and as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Miss Joan Garadeb, must be called to testify and submit cross-examination. Ryan K is really sort of like what in the background there. Oh, Max Sting notices referencing a case from the original trilogy.
Saints alive! A cross-examination of a juror?
I mean, the juror herself was literally the landlord of the accused, so...
Order, order, order! Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
Ah!
And unnecessary. Lord Van Zeeks? There are already witnesses in the stand, whose testimony the defence may further cross-examine, if my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it. Then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky, before this couple's eyes. And we must assume that they will be able to testify accordingly.
I could watch this animation all day.
What say you, witnesses?
No less, all you got to say is, watch a playthrough of the circus case in the previous games. Unfortunately, a couple of bits into the case are a bit uncomfortable, but how the murder turns out has some real Looney Tunes stuff in it. It's true. Max Sting, not necessarily, if the victim staggered to the new position 15 yards away from where the book and the knife arrived in her possession. It's true, she could have been stabbed and then just picked up the book. And thank you for the quote, Nellis.
Yes, sir. Constable Rowley Beat, patrolling, reporting for duty, sir. Well. Good morning, officer.
Sorry for dozing off until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of the villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, they're so heroic, those London bobbies.
Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, really, my hero? You make me swoon.
Very well, I hereby reject the defense's request.
Oh,
And all of the witnesses in the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir.
Constable Beats report.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garadeb house are top hinged casements.
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. Well, this is quite startling. Top hinge, casement windows. That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Oh yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. No, sir.
Sorry, but
What exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend.
of course, sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's room.
All right, I'll try.
So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it's a top hinged casement window, it swings open on the upper edge, you see.
I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. A casement's window's most prominent feature is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount.
It prevents it opening. This is all news to me.
Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have had to plaster against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below.
No.
You see, the problem then. Good. Your education in Windows is complete.
You know, what about windows lives rent free in my mind? The Welsh word for window is fenestra. I keep wondering if that has anything to do with the word defenestrate. Maxting, okay, so the knife fell into her back. Or maybe... Koto? Yeah, it does. Oh, do tell if you know. Willow? You always thought that. Koto is one of several Latinate words in Welsh. Oh hey then, that's cool. I know Welsh has some influence from Latin, but not as much as English. Fenestra in Welsh is cognate with fenetra in French. Heck yeah. Linguistics. Notice the book got from the house to her hand somehow. We haven't heard yet that the knife isn't theirs too. True.
There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife travelling 15 yards over the road.
Maxting. Fenestro, your least favourite Green Lantern villain.
That is, unless the window pane had been shattered. Something we've discounted already.
That can't be. Did you see that, really? The young Japanese man just collapsed in agony.
Yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumpled before me.
Okay, he sounds like a cop. Oh, really? You're so strong.
How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Exactly, Nellis. He's not going to run out of wine and glasses in the same way that Mr. Game & Watch doesn't run out of bacon and sausages. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright then the court awaits your cross-examination. My lord. Oh, God. Good. Another desperate situation. To be fair, he was examining a counter. You like that one, Maxting? I assume your silent scream is of approval? Yes, dreadful. I feel people with fear and dread.
Hold it!
If we didn't love such punch, you wouldn't be here. How can you say that for certain? A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. That's what the job's all about. And that's why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you that Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes, admittedly. Sir. Oh, really? You're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, really? I hate both of them. So much. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Oh, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then. Willow, you see these two on every college campus. And does it have the same number of cops involved, or? Absolutely, sir. I'll answer it to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Galladeb's domestic dispute can't be related to this case, sir. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yeah? I'd very much like you and your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us to London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try. Constable Beats' warrant card has been entered into the court record. A small folding wallet that identifies London bobbies and contains the rules of conduct to which they must adhere. No less blocking every walkway and generally making them a stage habit out of themselves. Okay, let's see what's in this then. Principles of policing. Item 1. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Item 2. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Item 1. Metropolitan Police Regulations. Item 1. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. Item 2. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives.
Hold it!
By which you mean they don't open fully. Is that correct? Yes, sir? They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted to how much on how much they open. And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where the objects would have fallen. Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime on the other side of the rather wide road. Would it have been so hard for someone to mention this top hinged casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house is furnished with? Well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Bede?
Sorry.
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we're just so lucky it didn't happen on Rowley's beat. It was so close, you see.
Oh, I hadn't realised.
Oh yes, that street. Brow Road. That's the boundary between Rowley's beat and the next one. They moved the... Okay, they moved the woman's body. Well, not the body, she wasn't dead, but they moved her, so it wouldn't be in his jurisdiction. Nolus, how old are these humans even supposed to be? I'm beginning to wonder myself. Isn't that right, my love?
Constable Bede.
I just realised they're wearing matching scarves.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Garrideb household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see, sir. That really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garrideb household is on your beat, does that mean the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garrideb's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on the outside, that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Brow Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Exactly, Kato. He moved the body so he didn't have to do overtime. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rowley for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling?
That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. The case file's information has been updated in the court record. Maxting, he moved the body while she was running off to report it. Koto, Bobby's tirelessly working for the good of the Londoners. Stairs and Met Police. Yeah, I've been saying that a lot today. And now it's my turn, I think.
Hold it!
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but really, and I was strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
Sorry?
A star that'll guide us to eternal happiness.
Can't it guide you to answer the question?
Max Sting, you've been thinking about the goddamn Met Police this whole time. They're infamous even over there. Or maybe you just pay more attention to UK news. Well, there was a recent incident, well, like a year or two ago now, where basically one of their officers murdered a woman, and then the police broke up the vigil for her memory, and attacked and arrested quite a lot of people present. It was a whole thing. Nullis, not gonna lie, you've only even heard of the Met Police through this chat. You haven't been trying as hard to stay informed over the last couple of years as you were before. Exactly, Max Sting. Copper's gonna cop. If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star. And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let really be an inspector, I would have said. 3 times at least.
Of course, what with the smog and everything, we can't actually see any stars. In short, you're trying to say that neither the book nor a knife crossed the sky before you. Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
It certainly seems like they're telling the truth. And then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
Hold it!
Yes, you said you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer. Is that right? That's right. Yep. Meow, that's right. If it had been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love.
Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box and every beat.
Notice, can we pretend flaming books in the night sky shooting the stars, or however the song goes? Max Sting, the London sky is starless. Yep. To be fair, that's true of most cities because of light pollution, but still. So really told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way.
Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me.
Ah, but when I have a terrible sense of direction, the cops start asking me untoward questions. Oh, please. So, I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes? But like I said, my Rolly was on at the scene the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Hold it!
Nothing to report.
That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. I can swear it's that on the yard's honour, sir.
Max Sting, bringing up that he was apparently face down asleep in the snow. Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me.
This burnt copy of the Lance Pride was originally in the Garadeb household, so the question remains, how did it find its way to the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well?
Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder.
Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
Max Sting. So, victim bends down to pick up the book, gets stabbed by a falling knife. Of course. That actually makes enough sense, it was probably right. There's something about the statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her bag and how the book ended up in her hand.
There must be some common thread between them.
Can I ask you something, please, Mr. Lawyer, sir?
Yeah, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell.
What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing?
Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony less valuable. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Beat, I'll allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire.
Maxting, it is illegal to move a body to change whose beat it's on. Exactly, Kato. Patricia Beat really said it was International Women's Day 2 days ago, I'll have you know.
Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one.
That was a very loud mutter. I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but I really won't.
Duly noted, Mrs. Bede. Please, I humbly ask you to continue.
What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? Maxting, the judge is tired of her bullshit too. Exactly. Oops, swore. I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though.
Hold it!
Mrs. Bean, nobody is questioning what you've told us.
I saw it, I did. That evening I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curve back slinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky.
All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction.
Oh yes. Well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made the arrangements to meet Verley. He gets ever so cross.
Excuse me.
Constable Bede, is there a problem? No, sir. No problem, sir.
Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering the same thing happened that evening is all.
You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident?
Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a bit longer than I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone for a good 15.
Oh really? You're such a tease. But the reason I was gone so long was because of the bouquet, silly.
The bouquet?
Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about? Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Really so romantic. He saved up for it with barbies and happiness found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes, how romantic.
I'd forgotten all about it until just now. Had you, my darling?
Oh, yeah, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it around anyone else, darling. You have to promise.
Really? Oh.
What was that all about? Constable B looked very obviously troubled during that exchange.
I mean, to be fair, the people he and his colleagues just threw in the gutter. Well, the contents of the pockets of the people he just threw in the gutter were definitely in the gutter. I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhode. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned, I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to.
Oopsie's nuts.
Okay, we're at 3 hours and I'll be honest, my throat's getting a bit sore. And this wig's starting to give me a headache, so I think I'll have to call it here. Oh, glad you enjoyed it, Maxting. Alright. Yeah, have a good one to you, Nolas. And thank you for watching, Willow. So yeah, we'll just find someone to raid. I know Nettie went live a while ago, don't know if she still is. Cecily's playing Cyberpunk 2027, raided me the other day. Yep, I guess we'll raid Cecily then. Yep, raided me 5 days ago, so that would have been on Wednesday. Maxting, you're going to have some soup. Hopefully it'll help with the illness. Yeah, I hope that clears up. Sinus infections suck. Okay, so yep, I'll be back on Wednesday with more Ace Attorney. Thursday, I will not be streaming. Keith will be streaming some Lancer, although that's the campaign I'm in, but I won't be playing on that day. But yeah, I encourage everyone to go check that out anyway. And Friday, is something happening on Friday? Oh, yep. Friday will be the Ides of March, which means it'll be the finale of Mobius Command. So that's going to be the end of that actual play of Savage Worlds. There'll be Nazis at the there'll be Nazis trying to interfere with the stabbing of Caesar for some reason. And yeah, that'll be the end. It's the last episode of that campaign, so we'll see how it goes. But yep, raid's going to go through in a bit, so hopefully I'll see you all Wednesday. And we're going to raid off in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe. You're still my favourites. Comment with your least favourite policeman in the chat. Chat? Wait, no, comment section. Anyway, nice all.